Paranormal Karen, she's so spooky. Paranormal Karen, funny too. Paranormal Karen, she's so spooky. Oh, and did I mention she's funny too? Yeah, cha-cha-cha.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to Paranormal Karen. I am super excited today. This has not happened in a long time, and I know you've already seen the name on the description, so you're all excited and ready. Lacey Free is here with me. Oh, and I forgot, join my Patreon or something, or go to my website and sign up for my email list. Lacey, how good am I at promotion? How was that?
You're amazing. You're way better than me at it, for sure.
I love Patreon. I'm getting very excited about Patreon. Well, darling, so you and I have so much to talk about. I was just on Horror Pod, and it was amazing as always. And we had weird technical things happen, didn't we?
Yes. And I talked a lot. I just get excited when I'm around you, Karen.
I feel the same. When we were done with that podcast, and we sat for like 2 hours, we did one, and then it got deleted by mistake, and then we did another. And I walked away and I was like, I feel euphoric after I talked to Lacey. But it's interesting because somebody the other day told me, and I think she's not the first person to tell me that. Oh, I left my window open if you're hearing traffic. That when we're together, a portal opens. And she's not the first one to tell me that. I'm off on a tangent now, and I'm already talking too much myself. But I don't even know where I was going with that. So since we taped the podcast less than a week ago and yours came out, tell me what happened. I say that like I don't know.
Oh my gosh, so much has happened. But actually, when we were taping, my brain kept farting. And I was having a hard time coming up with my words. And then after we got off, I got sick. And I don't even say the name of it because I don't know. It feels parasitic to me. Mm-hmm. And even though scientifically that doesn't make sense that it's parasitic, but that's the energy it feels like to me. Like this sickness is a parasite. And I've been sick with other parasites before in my life. And it was crazy how similar the feeling was. And my friend Rosie called it electric bones because she had it first. Now, I could have probably easily not gotten it, but I walked into the eye of the storm because I knew Rosie had it and she was really sick. And I went and got really close to her and brought her soup and drinks. So 3 to 5 days later, I got it as well. And it felt like a parasitic, darker energy that was trying to suck some of my life force for a few days.
Two things, which is I did the same thing with my mom. When my mom had it, I just stayed there for like 4 days. And then I went home and nothing. Sometimes nothing. Sometimes you get it. But we're all probably going to get it. So you got it out of the way. I have a friend, a holistic friend that I had talked to her about that. And she says it is a parasite. I don't even know scientifically how we would know that. But I was like, that's what I thought Lacey said. And she was like, yeah, no, it is. So I don't know. That's really interesting right there. So you got very sick. And you walked to the store and got yourself some herbs, didn't you?
Well, luckily I had a ton of fucking herbs around me, but a lot of our kitchen herbs can bring us healing. So I think part of the reason I got it also is because I was stressed. My nervous system was out of whack. And this feeling of electric bones that I got when I got it, I could just feel that my nervous system was going haywire. And it was really hard to sleep, and I felt shaky, and my body was fighting off a fever. And so right away, I just went into my cabinet and got raw garlic and just started eating whole cloves of garlic. And I ate 4 whole cloves of raw garlic.
Wow.
Not fun. But garlic is antibacterial, so It will cure the bacteria within your body. Antimicrobial is really good for gut health, but it also kills fungus in the body, like mold. And parasites love mold and fungus. So I say scientifically it's not parasitic because if you talk to a doctor, which I am not a doctor, they will tell you it's a parasite or that it's a virus, not a parasite. And so I ate the raw garlic and it broke any fever I had automatically. Wow. And then I did a shot of oregano oil with cayenne pepper and olive oil. So I filled up a shot glass with like I filled up like half a shot glass of just olive oil. Then I squeezed half a lime into it. And then I didn't measure it, but I put cayenne pepper over that and then put my hand over the shot glass and shook it and took it like a shot. And that gets rid of all the mucus in your body.
Wow. Did you do the olive oil just to cut the other oil? Because oregano oil, I take that quite often in a pill form. It is brutal. It will give you acid reflux in a minute.
Right, exactly. So olive oil is a carrier oil. So whenever you do anything like with essential oils or strong oils, you want to put it in a carrier oil. So olive oil is a carrier oil, avocado, almond oil, grapeseed oil. But I like olive oil when I'm sick, like fresh pressed olive oil, because it has so many healthy fats in it. And it's good for the gut health again. So what I was about to say, but then I started talking about the cayenne shot, is parasites love to feed off of mold, fungus, heavy metals, and mucus in the body. So if you have a lot of those, you're just sort of a playground for parasites, viruses, and bacteria. And stress increases all of those within the body.
Wow.
So even if we're really healthy, if we get super stressed, it will start creating more mucus in our body. When more mucus is created, our pH balance gets off and our body isn't as alkalized. It's really hard to heal if we don't have an alkalized body.
So much in there. First of all, I think I go through like a bottle of olive oil in less than a month. Like I eat so much olive oil and garlic and, hold on one second. I had my heater blowing on my feet and it got too hot. It turned into a hot flash and then I had to get it away. So much here. And I had told you before we talked, before I knew you were sick, my guides kept showing me cilantro. And I finally went and bought and ate a ton of cilantro. I think I ate too much. I think it could be a little like too healthy or something. I remember I was like, whoa, that's a lot of my stomach. And then I told you that, and cilantro is a anti-metal. Like I thought I was crazy that why am I seeing cilantro? Then you told me that gets rid of heavy metals, right?
Yeah, it does. It helps detox the body of heavy metals. But also really good for other toxicities too, like candida, mold, fungus. And I like to take a pinch of cilantro and a pinch of parsley in spring water and blend it in the morning and do a shot of it before I do anything else. And that's really just cleansing for the whole body. Wow. And the immune system. Good for inflammation too.
Well, this is very interesting because I have to be completely, I have so much to ask. You know so much. And actually, you took all this stuff, and how fast did things turn around? Oh, my God, that car went by and scared me. I have those muscle cars. I finally found the place that makes the muscle cars. They're right up the street. So they're always racing them down the street, and they sound like gunshots. And I was like, forget this disease. I'm dead. So you take all this, and how fast does it work?
I mean, I was better the next day, which I was really surprised for me because the people I got it from had been sick for 2 weeks. And I'm fat, so people talk about like fat people and getting it. And so I was scared of that, because it is a factor. And I have previous chronic illnesses just because of the malnutrition growing up and the trauma I received. I've grown up with having different illnesses. So, but it hit hard and it felt like a dark energy. It felt like a big distraction. There was some big projects I was going to work on, some big healing projects this week. And sometimes whenever I feel like we get really close to the veil or kind of close to our purpose, there's like an equal and opposite reaction in the matrix. And it really did feel like sort of a darker force that I had to sort of stare in the eyes of for a minute.
Wow. Do you think that, did that feel like literally in the 3D, or did you feel that sort of metaphorically?
I felt it both. Like I felt it like physically 3D in my body, but I also felt like I was hallucinating a bit, which can happen when you have fevers. But it felt like there was these like darker spirits talking to me and trying to like mess with my brain is really what it felt like, to impede my thought process and to impede my projects.
That makes so much sense on every level. And I think this is why I started with the strange portal story. Did I start with that? Talk about not being able to hold your attention. I did. Okay. That is the number one thing. Dark entities are trying to they're trying to steal your mind. Okay. People know that they're there to scare you or whatever, or suck energy off you. But when they're really attacking, they want you to feel crazy. That's why sometimes they will react to one person in the house and the other person will be like, I don't know what you're talking about. That's the first thing. The second thing is I did have a friend who said, I don't think our energy is good together. Not bad that we're very good friends, but she was like, it's a dangerous moment right now. And I know you and I tend to open portals. And I was like, okay, I think she's not the first person that told me that. That's how I had a weird time. I went through a wormhole with someone once. That's like just to lead that there. I'll just go, I went through a wormhole with someone once and leave that there. But it's, this is an interesting offshoot, and I want to come back because I wrote down heavy metals, which I want to talk about. There is now a paranormal team. I just did a show the other night and they were telling me about this paranormal team. It's a girl and a boyfriend, and they just got together. And when they are together, only when they're together, there's a communication with spirits where they say, what is your name? And they're getting tapping. For some reason, they're getting tapping. People are getting names and dates and things that, like, it's literally when these two are together, they're opening a portal to a place where they can communicate with the dead. And I think all these changes right now and all this strangeness, like you and I were saying, healers need to be on alert now. It's not safe, is it?
Well, I don't want to say it's not safe because I think our mind is so powerful in it. But I do think it's an important time to tap into our spiritual protection like never before. But not sometimes when you tell people to tap into their spiritual protection, or you tell people about how you're tapping into your own spiritual protection, I get a lot of like, well, I'm not scared, or I don't want to be afraid. And it's like, it's not about being afraid.
Right.
Spiritual protection, in my opinion, just as a witch, is a daily ritual. It's a daily clearing of your own body, a clearing of your own energy field. And ritual helps us observe the natural cycles happening around us. And witches constantly teach about the death and rebirth of each cycle. But I really like what you were saying about the darker entities messing with your mind or confusing you or making you feel crazy or distracted. And in my opinion, that's about, like, these darker entities don't really have power. the most power that they really have is if you believe they have power. Like, there was even a second where I was going to give my power over to feeling sick. And I kind of was falling into a little bit of a victim mentality for like 20 minutes. And I was like, oh no, I'm not going to get better. This is bad. And I did something wrong. And I was just really starting to feel sorry for myself. And then my guides were like, bitch, you're a witch. You're surrounded by medicine. And the medicine you're surrounded by are weeds that the Matrix has taught us to kill or to step over. But these medicines are antivirals. And this is a virus. And so then I just sort of started talking to the herbs, and right away the herb lemon balm showed up, which I talked to you about on my podcast recently. But I drank so much lemon balm in this, and lemon balm is antiviral, but it's also a nervine, so it really helps with the nervous system. And I did St. John's wort, which is antiviral and really good for the nervous system. I did elderberry, antiviral. I'm trying to think of everything I did. Black seed oil, that's a big one. And I could feel the difference on my body immediately. Fresh pressed black seed oil. It's really good for inflammation in the body or diabetes, blood sugar balance. It's good for the brain.
Wow. All these things. So amazing. You know, it's funny because, and I don't, mine's, I'm sure, I have a feeling we're all going to get it. And some people might have for a day. Some people might not know they had it, but something's out there. But I have to say, I do believe I had SARS-1 a while ago, and I think there is a natural immunity there that they're not talking about or we're not aware of. But I have to tell you, I have been everywhere. I didn't lock down. I have been flying every weekend, and the stuff that first of all, I did clean up my diet almost a lot, and we're going to talk about that heavy metals in a second. But there was a couple of things I was taking the whole time, which was a homemade hydroxychloroquine. You can take that every day. That's a grapefruit peel and a lemon peel, and you boil it for you boil it, and then you let it simmer for 3 hours, and you do a shot of that every day. And I was doing that. I was also doing every day. I have a smoothie with turmeric, ginger, cinnamon, pepper, turmeric, ginger, cinnamon, pepper, spirulina, and there's another one in there that there's a part of me that's like, did that do it? Or like, I guess we all just have different immune systems. But I have to say, I've been around so many people that had it. I've been in comedy clubs. I've been with crowds. It's like, it's such a random, weird thing, isn't it?
Yeah. And I guess I should clarify too that I never tested.
Oh, those stupid motorcycles or whatever they are.
I never got tested for it. I'm just assuming that's what I have. But there's also the thing that, people usually get sick in December, January, and February. Like, it's the winter and we're humans, and we usually get sick in this time. Also, another thing to add is my vibration was pretty low. I was like hurting about a few things, and I wasn't processing my own pain. And I was working a lot. So I just kept working and kept moving really fast. So I felt like whatever this parasite was, which feels like a parasite to me, matched the vibration of what I was feeling in that moment. And sometimes I think I manifest sickness to force my body to stop, to force my body to break.
Wow.
To take a break. We break our bodies to force ourselves to take a break.
I think I'm doing that right now. Hold on one second, folks. We're going to come back right after the break, and we're going to continue with breaking bodies. Hey everybody, just want to let you know my tarot class is on sale this weekend only until the 23rd, or the 23rd. I believe it runs out at midnight. So that'll be 2 days. You can get half off when you go to karenrontowski.com and click on tarot, and then you're going to use the coupon code October, all capital letters October. Also, November 1st, I finally have a Patreon. I know I'm so far behind everyone else. It is a tarot and psychic development. So it's going to be some paranormal, but mostly tarot and psychic development. I'm going to be putting up classes myself that are tarot classes, and we're going to be doing meditations and psychic exercises, and there's going to be homework and all kinds of fun stuff. I'm also going to have guests come on and tell us about their process, how they do their thing. So November 1st, the first class will be out. November 4th, patreon.com/Rontowski. Talking about breaking bodies. So, and I have heavy metals and matrix written down and circled. We're going back to those. I have been overworking out. And when you say electric bones, like people that are exercise kind of freaks like me that are always moving and can't sit still, and it's either the yoga or the gym or the bike or whatever. There's a thing that happens where at night you can't sleep because your body is in, I don't know if it's an overhealing or something like that. Did you feel like that's where you were at? You were almost like you had done so much, yet your body was just like, no more. We're all done. We're going to take on this virus. So you let us sit?
Well, I think was like literal, like electricity in my nervous system. But I also felt this energy of something going up and down my body. But I think it was just probably my nervous system. But it felt like bacteria moving up and down my body, honestly, is what it felt like to me.
Inside or kind of on the outside?
Inside.
That feels
like it felt like it was in my bones, but that doesn't make sense to have bacteria in your bones.
Well, the whole, it gives me that visual of the horror movies where something's under your skin, which is like, ugh. Which is very interesting. Okay, so here is my question to you, genius lady that always knows this stuff, that learns so much about health. Heavy metals. It keeps coming out of my I did a prediction thing and I said it, and some woman was like, you had me all the way until heavy metals, and that's not a true thing. And I was like, it's such a true thing. And like where I live right now, I think I'm getting it. We must have lead pipes. That must be where it's coming from. But because I do the water filter, I think we just have polluted water with heavy metals. When that's in our system, we're just getting it everywhere, right? Is it in food and water and everything? Is it just everywhere?
Yeah, it's definitely in food and water and chemicals, like laundry detergents that aren't natural, lotions that aren't natural. So many of the stuff we can make ourselves, but people are intimidated about being an herbalist, or they're intimidated of making their own products, like deodorant. A lot of deodorants have heavy metals in them, or, oils that we put on our skin. But it's so easy to make an herbal oil that is antiviral and antimicrobial and has no heavy metals in it, or limited amount. I don't have a heavy metal tester, I guess. But the reason I say limited amount is sometimes in herbalism, people screw metal lids on top, and the heavy metals from those metal lids can get into the herbs.
Really?
So you always want to put a cloth, like cheesecloth or something, in between the lid. Yeah, if you work with mason jars a lot, the top is metal, right? So you don't want to get the heavy metals. And a lot of times people use cookware that has heavy metals in it, but I also believe that you can get heavy metals from technology. So 5G, I believe, is increasing the heavy metal load in everyone's body right now, making them more susceptible to parasites or viruses.
That's so interesting. I do that also. I think there's I think they decide, well, there's nanoparticles, which are metals in every vaccine, but there's that too. There's the 5G. It's so funny because I was just thinking, I can't get over how dry everyone in California, like our skin is peeling off our face. There's not enough. You just can't get it right in Los Angeles. And I was just thinking, I need to go get some kind of natural thing. Like, don't go to a store bought thing, get something natural. So is it glass would be how you want everything to be? You want a glass jar instead of a plastic?
Oh yeah, glass is way better option if you can. But also, I don't think it's healthy for people to get real freaked out and scared of their environment and everything they use, because they're also, I think we're living between dimensions right now, in my opinion. So in the 3D, we have to be very cognizant of everything we're using, like glass or plastic, heavy metals or not. But then in other dimensions, I believe we can alchemize everything with our mind. In that we can shapeshift our own energy and shapeshift energy of an external object. So like when I was little and I had to eat vegetables, I would pretend it was chocolate. And I got to the point of like it really tasting like chocolate. And I would do the same thing when I ate chocolate, is it envisioning the chocolate nourishing me and being good for my body. So a lot of it is our mental state too. And I think people are really scared right now. And I think, like I said before, I think I got sick for that day because of my low vibrational energy, because of my own stress and fear and worry. So on one hand, it's really important to be cognizant and observant and aware of what we're taking in. On another hand, knowing that our mind is so powerful and that reality isn't real. Like, I also think I kind of wanted to get it at that point. For 2 years, I feel like I've just been not living in the same world as that existing.
I know.
But I've never, I was never tested for it or anything like that before, or knew anyone in proximity who had it. But then I was kind of like, my friend had it, and I was kind of like, I wonder how my body will react. And
I have that same curiosity. I have that same curiosity because I feel like I'm this. I always said I have the immune system of a small Viking army. And there's a sad part of me that just keeps going, don't test that. Don't test that. Just let it be.
Yeah. But it does sort of feel like this attack on magic right now. And I don't know how to say it. And I don't even necessarily mean the sicknesses in itself, but I think people are opening portals together, and everyone's magic is increasing on an individual level. So now we're coming together and whole fucking portals are opening.
Yeah.
And I cannot even imagine if you and I weren't separate right now, Karen. And we have quite a few mutual magical friends between us. I can't imagine what would happen if we all were in a field right now doing ritual together.
I know. You know what? We have to make that happen. And also, I forgot, I'm jumping all over. When you were talking about the food and how you would make tell yourself the vegetables were chocolate, this has been a huge thing, which is, I talked about this on my Patreon, where whatever you drink, first you whisper into the drink what you want to happen. Like I was like, please let this move be really simple and work out easy. And then you drink it down. And that has been actually quite successful, sort of manifesting through what you drink. But also, like when you were talking about the food and telling the chocolate to be nutritious, I think that there was someone else that told me you should always say to your food, I love you, because that puts it on your frequency. So that's really all the same thing right there, isn't it?
Yeah. You're speaking affirmation into it. And by speaking affirmation into your food, you're literally putting a spell on it. And by putting a spell on it allows the vibration within your body and the vibration within the food to come together.
Yes,
does that make sense?
That does. And that's where, I always say I live a little bit more on the dark side, but that is where I'm comfortable. So I don't worry too much. I forget sometimes, like I don't feel, I don't want to scare people, but I always believe there's an answer too. That's I think coming from that place, I always believe that's how you find an answer. And I do think there are certain people that just process heavy metals for whatever reason why. Some do it better than others. We're all different. And I just have to throw in everyone, Dr. Bronner's soap is the most amazing thing in the world. And I just found out you can even wash your dog with it.
Oh yeah, you can do everything with it. Your laundry, everything. When I thought the world was ending, people were buying toilet paper like crazy. And I bought a huge bag of dried herbs and a few things of Dr. Bronner's soap and white vinegar. And I was like, I'm going to survive.
I have that. In fact, doctor, because when I move, I'm only going with what fits in my car. There's literally a gallon of Dr. Bronner's soap that's going with me. Like I made room for that because it's so fantastic, whether it's the bar or whether it's the liquid or whatever it is. It's really that's the pure stuff I hope we can get back to.
Yeah, totally. Also, you mentioned that you're doing a smoothie with turmeric, ginger, did you say black pepper?
Black pepper, spirulina, cinnamon, and there's one more thing in there that I didn't know the name of that my friend told me to get.
That's so good for inflammation and immunity, but also for heavy metals. Spirulina is amazing for heavy metals in the body and detoxing from them. And so is moringa powder. And they both have a ton of minerals in them. Now, heavy metals deplete our body of minerals. That's one of the reasons why they're so dangerous to have. And if our body's depleted with minerals, our organs don't function correctly. But also, if our body's depleted of minerals, it's really hard to produce serotonin in the brain. It's really hard. So we become depressed really fast if we aren't full of minerals. And most of our food and water is depleted of minerals. And things like birth control zap the body of minerals so fast. And a lot of people will get on birth control and get really depressed and not realize that their body isn't able to produce serotonin because they're lacking the minerals.
Lacey, why are you not learning to be a holistic doctor?
I am.
Oh, you are?
Well, I'm not, not like, I just say I am, like, for myself. There's some like Chinese proverb and it's like, if you're not your own doctor, you're doing it wrong or something like that. I always mess up quotes. So I'm not a doctor, but I am my own doctor because I've had to be, because I was treated awful growing up, a poor kid without insurance who was severely sick. And I just had so much experience in the hospital with my brother who had over 300 surgeries. But at the time he was 3 years old and we lived in the hospital. So I just saw how scary the medical system in our country really is. So I study nonstop. But the idea of becoming a formal doctor, I don't know, that sounds expensive.
Well, it could, but on minerals, is that Himalayan salt, pink Himalayan salt? That's a good one with minerals, right?
That's a great one with minerals. Irish sea moss gel has almost all, the body's made up of 102 minerals, I believe. I could be saying that wrong. And Irish sea moss has almost all of those minerals. It's only missing a couple.
It's you really you should be. Always makes me feel like it sounds like we should be eating so much more than we're eating, or like just have a cabinet full of herbs and just be rotating them all the time. But I believe in that.
You should be rotating them all the time, in my opinion.
And
not every herb is for everybody, and it doesn't mean that you should take it every day for the rest of your life. Now, Irish sea moss, maybe take it every day for the rest of your life because it has so much zinc in it. It's so good. I wasn't taking any of I ran out of my Irish sea moss when I got sick. And I think I was letting my body be depleted of minerals. Burdock root also has a ton of minerals.
Wow.
So does bladderwrack. So between Irish sea moss, burdock root, and bladderwrack, people would probably be set with minerals.
Bladderwrack sounds like a problem. Like you can't go to the bathroom.
Yeah. I actually haven't worked with that herb much, honestly. I just know it's full of minerals. But so is the moringa.
See, I think this is where you could have a store called Not a Doctor, but I think we're going through this phase, and until the health system falls and we rebuild it, it's just going to be, people need to know about this stuff, and they need to know about it proactively. I have this, I feel like what the awakening, I was thinking about this today on my bike. I was thinking about the awakening and how nervous people get when you talk about things like the collapse of government, or I feel like just the collapse of religions. But I feel like we're in this stage of, and this is how I want to describe it, and I think it makes people more nervous, but I mean, it's better, is not just sitting in front of the TV and watching Netflix and not worrying because you went to the doctor or something like I think people are going to have to start actively get up and start thinking things through. This is something that really surprised me this year. I'm not really a rule follower until it comes to vets. And then I keep figuring they know more than me. And this year especially was the year where it was like, they're not even giving you information that's close. I have to give Courage fluids, and they said you need to give them to him every other day. And I kind of tried it once, and I was like, that is completely wrong. So I was just going with my instincts with him, and they found out he had something else. They had diagnosed him wrong, which meant fluids every other day would have killed him if I had continued. He would have died. He would have drowned or had a heart attack or something. So I literally kept deciding when I was going to do it. So he goes in and gets his last blood test, and they're like, there's nothing wrong with his kidneys. He doesn't need fluids. And I was like, you've been giving him fluids for 2 years now, every other week for 2 years. And now it's like, I have to listen to my instincts. So I have to be my own vet too.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point. That's like a download I got when COVID. I said the word. I don't like saying the word because it feels parasitic to me. And parasites, if you have a parasitic person in your life who's sucking from your energy, they love when you talk about them. Oh. They love creating so much drama that people talk about them, even if it's bad. Because when we talk about that energy, we stir up dust around it. We're giving more power to the parasite by mentioning it by name.
It's like Beetlejuice. It's like Beetlejuice. You don't want to say that 3 times.
And I do. It's silly, but I kind of feel like that about entities too. Like I don't fuck with that energy just because I don't. It wants me to focus on it. That's how it gets our power, is by us focusing on it and getting confused or distracted mentally.
Yeah. When Dia and I did that podcast, I did not say the name again. And for a while, it kept popping up on YouTube. And my friend Tommy was like, "Oh, it's tracking you." But I still don't say that name. I only say it when I always do a denounce, about once a month now, Tommy and actually Andrea helped me to just denounce that power, like that's not here, that's going away, which I think helps out a lot. Let's take a break, and then I want to talk matrix with you, okay? Because I think there's something I think that's an advanced conversation now. So hold on one second, everybody. We'll be right back. Hey, I'm here with my friend Ari that hosts, or I want to say takes care of all my Zoom events, my comedy shows, my classes. Ari, tell everybody what type of Zoom events you are great at hosting.
Yeah, so I really take care of any kind of Zoom event, from a virtual camp to lecture series, cooking classes, celebrations like weddings or bar and bat mitzvahs, really anything.
And to me, it just looks like you make my life easier. I just have to click on and talk, which is beautiful. Tell everybody, what are you doing behind the scenes that helps me so much?
Yeah, so I'm taking care of all of the settings, like muting and spotlighting people, making breakout rooms, recording the meeting, really just all of the tech pieces you might think of or not think of. I'm taking care of that.
That is so helpful. And it really is the difference between something looking amateurish and something looking really professional and wanting people to come back to your meeting again. So tell everybody where they can find you.
Yes, so you're welcome to email me at wharton.ari@gmail.com. That's WHARTON.ARI@gmail.com. And you're welcome to email me with any questions and find out how we can work together.
And your rates are so reasonable, it's crazy. So everybody, wharton.ari@gmail. I'm going to try and have it in the show notes. If you can't find her or you don't know how to rewind the podcast, just email. I'll get you connected. Thanks, Ari.
Thanks, Karen.
So it's very interesting. There is this guy that does a really funny TikTok. It's just called Interesting Facts. They found a 280 million year old artifact in Australia. And he puts up a picture of the artifact and he goes, it's kind of gross because if you look at it, these look like those things in the movie The Matrix with the long tentacles that would fly around. And this artifact has those carved in it. It's like it's really quite uncanny how these are the two same things. And I don't know if I always fully understand the Matrix. Now, the Matrix is the system that holds us back and keeps us slaves, correct?
In my opinion, yeah. And the word matrix actually comes from the word ma. And to me, it's like an interweb that keeps us enslaved or anchored into the 3D reality, keeping us from being gods. Gods mean autonomous beings who create our own reality.
And so the Matrix is really the systems or systems of thought that keep us down. And when Jessa used to say this to me all the time, when we'd get into a really deep conversation, she goes, watch what the Matrix does. And then you'd hear sirens outside and then a neighbor would come knock. It was almost like systematically we were meant to be interrupted.
Totally.
So once you break away, I can't seem to get this visually in my mind. Breaking away, and that's a good, they had it in the thing that everybody was kind of living in this illusion, but they were really strapped in a pod or something.
Yeah.
Once you break that illusion, it's like, I did hear something on this. It's like everything can see you all of a sudden. Once you pull off the freeway, all sort of the beings of the Matrix are kind of like, that one's gone off the rails. Why did that one go that way? I have to find, and there was a really interesting thing about that. What do you think happens when we start thinking for ourselves?
When we start thinking for ourselves, we see synchronicities more. And it becomes more of an instant manifestation. And we start seeing that our reality is a reflection of our internal reality. When we're in the Matrix, our reality just starts nearing the web we're in. And that web is sucking from our power. And it's sort of like, in my head, the Matrix is the artificial mother. And part of the way we've been stripped from our identity as gods or our superpowers as gods is by having a poor connection with our Mother Earth, with the mother within all of us. It's having a bad connection with the divine feminine that's in everybody. And instead we like cut out our connection with the earth, the connection with the natural cycles of death and rebirth. And we become enslaved to this synthetic mother that's supposed to feed us and make us happy. And usually that looks like a 40-hour job and going to drink on the weekends. And not that these things are necessarily bad, but they're sort of,
if you're a slave to them. Yeah.
Yeah, to suck our power.
That I think when someone is fully involved in the matrix, they often feel they're a victim of circumstance.
Right.
Or that's just how it is. Or, my mother used to say, don't, if you're happy, don't say anything or it'll go away. Like that kind of, instead of just being. I've had such a, I think it's because my trip that I'm going to be driving across country, this need or desire to get connected to Mother Earth right now is overwhelming. And, it's kind of funny because I have said this before and people have sent me some good suggestions, but I want earthing shoes. I want to be in earthing shoes all the time, but they keep making them with rubber, which is exactly what, I found one actual cork shoe and it's in Portugal. And I emailed them and I said, can I buy your shoe in the United States? And they sent me back a message that said, yes, let us know how it goes. And I was like, I don't think they understood the question. Because I was
That's hilarious.
Okay.
Wait, why don't you want rubber?
Rubber is sort of the thing that on a earthing movie I saw, rubber is what breaks the connection. They're saying go with cork. Yeah.
Yeah. I love being barefoot. That's all I know.
I'm not a barefoot person.
I saw some people who went into a checkup in New Zealand today, a picture of it, and they were all barefoot in the clinic there. But it's like just more common in some areas maybe to be barefoot. I love it.
Yeah, and their summer is our winter, so they might be in summer too. I'm getting that way though also about what I'm throwing out. Like I'm trying to give away everything I can, but it's like when the city has to come pick up something because I can't, like I have a futon that no one wants because I said there could be some stains on it, which I think leads everyone's imagination. I should have lied. But I thought even that makes me feel like, this is going to go in a landfill. And that's gross. Like, what are we to do with that landfill? I'm getting very earth connected. And this idea, I've never been one to think about the off the grid house. And now I'm thinking that like disposable off the grid house maybe lasts 50 years and then it goes away. All that stuff I think we could be doing now.
Yeah. Well, that's all outside of the matrix, that's all independence and sovereignty and community. And community in my head is the antithesis of the matrix. Community increases all of our superpowers and I think helps set us free. But people are really scared of living in community because we've been sold this idea of separation and isolation. And I think isolation is actually really unnatural and it can lead to health issues. And was something back to the energy with the vet you were talking about and how you listen to yourself. That is a way to break free from the matrix, is listening to yourself. Not that you have to know everything, but really having discernment within your community. And one of the downloads I got during the beginning of all of this was that everything that we're putting energy into us externally, anything that we think is better than us or knows more than us or has more power than us, we're going to watch it crumble in front of our eyes. And in a way, it's going to be devastating because we wanted to think that this teacher knew more than us or this dollar, whatever we put on a pedestal as more important, it's going to vanish because these are all pillars and representations of this old world that's currently dying. And if we control reality with our mind, there's a way we can step more into our power through discernment.
You know what else that is? And that was you just sort of helped me put into words what I was trying to say about the people just watching TV is, everyone, it was very hard for me I love the news. I kind of find the news interesting. And when I found out how badly we're being lied to, because everybody knows they're lying, but then when you go in and start watching independent news and you get the non-scare news, the real news, you get like, oh my God, you can't help but think this is a conspiracy, or it is three guys that own all of these, or like they're just blatantly lying. And that's a very hard pill to take, because in society, we want this feeling that someone is handling it. They're in charge. They're going to handle it. Oh my God, there's an outbreak in the Ukraine. I don't have to even think about it. Somebody's handling it. I'll watch it on the news. And I think that responsibility of, that's the part that scares people, to really be responsible for themselves. Probably not the kind of person that listens to this podcast because they're already outside the matrix doing it. But that feeling of, no, someone tested this. The FDA tested your yogurt. I'm on a big tear. I think I might do, I don't know why, and it sounds terrible and it sounds crazy, but I'm starting to think Bill Gates is the Matrix. I said this on the future podcast coming up. There's something out there called Just Mayo and Just Eggs and Just this, and it looks like, oh my God, how healthy! Someone just put eggs in a bottle. I don't even have to crack them. How convenient! That is Bill Gates' food company. It's filled with GMOs. It's not just anything. It's like, that's why I kind of feel like well, of course someone checked it. The FDA already checked it, or the I don't know, Food and Drug Administration. Someone already checked it for us. And it's like, now we're living in a time, and it does take a lot of energy, but you got to check your stuff yourself.
Yeah. And a beautiful part about growing up in extreme violence and abuse and having a brother who had a pretty extreme disease is I had to be very close to the healthcare system. I remember the first time the police came to our house when I was around 5, and they stuck a gun in my dad's mouth. And it was very violent and unnecessary violence. But I learned really fast, these people don't care about me. And upper middle class white people, we have a certain privilege, and it's easy for us to buy this lie that the system cares about us.
Mm-hmm. Or someone's taking care of it. Yeah.
Yeah, the system cares about us, or someone's taking care of it. And if we do our tax dollars, they care about us. The government does not care about anyone. It does not care about people, the middle class people, or even the upper middle class people, and definitely not poor people. And that doesn't have to be so tragic and scary. Sometimes learning someone doesn't care about you or doesn't like you, or times when we've been rejected, that's the most beautiful time to open a portal to our own power.
Mm-hmm. On our own knowing. That really was a thing with the vet, because it was such an interesting, I'm not a great listener. My brain goes off, and especially when it's about courage, my brain goes off in 10 panic places. But he had a UTI and it threw all his numbers off. And they started telling me, well, he's in kidney failure. And he's in heart failure. And I kept saying, he's in neither of those. What are you talking about? And I went to the cardiologist. There's another $700. And he was like, no, the heart's doing good. And then I come back and no, he's in heart failure. What are you talking about? He's in heart failure. Then they go from he's in kidney failure to, you know what? There's nothing wrong with his kidneys at all. You don't give him any fluids. And I was like, hold on. Something's like, you go from telling me he's in kidney failure to tell me nothing's wrong, which I talked to Sonia, my animal communicator friend, and she's like, well, I'll be honest with you. The boss just always surprises me. He may have fixed his own kidneys. And I was like, he may have. But if I, this was I had a very strange communication moment. And this is when we are in touch with nature, where I was walking down the street and there were two black crows, and one of them was carrying a bag from In-N-Out and in his mouth. And I looked up and I waved to him, like, give it to me. And he dropped it at my feet. And then I opened it so that they could get the French fries and not eat the paper. And I walked away like I just had a communication with crows. I just did what they told me to do.
I love it.
But people wouldn't believe that. But I feel like if I can get in that zone where I'm in touch with the world, that's how it happens.
Completely. And animals are speaking to us, I think, in a new way right now. And I think they're protective. And I don't want to be like, oh, animals are protective of the humans, because in a lot of ways we're like low on the food chain.
Yeah.
Or actually we're not. That didn't make sense at all. But I think humans just center ourselves a lot. But I think the animals are connecting with us in a different way and really becoming a mirror for us right now. And I think it's so important to listen to the emotions of our body. Yeah. That each part of our body has something different to tell us. I've been doing a lot of like breast health, herbal stuff, just because our breasts also carry so many lymph nodes. So doing breast massage I might have talked about this on your podcast before. So using olive oil and putting calendula flowers into olive oil and letting dried calendula flowers into fresh pressed olive oil in a mason jar and leaving it for 4 weeks. This creates a beautiful oil for the chest and breast. It doesn't matter what gender you are, if your boobs are small or big. Everyone needs to get in and rub the boobs, rub the chest, rub around the nipples and under the armpits, because our lymph nodes are here, and it will be so clearing for our immune system. But we also store so much grief in this area.
Yes.
And old emotions, like clogged tears. I always see like people who don't let themselves cry, they get like clogged tears on the side of their breasts or their armpits. And you can like kind of see it in the skin around their armpits. It's a little hard to explain with
Well,
words.
no, actually it's not, because, I stopped getting mammograms and I get thermographs now. And it's just because my health insurance, I have a HSA, because health insurance won't cover it. And it's very expensive, or the first time it is, and then it gets less, but thermographs are where they take a picture, like a heat picture or something. And some doctors will say this isn't true, but it can predict a change in the cells before the mammogram does. And it's none of that crushing your breasts or radiation from taking pictures. It's like a heat sensory picture. And it's so much easier and it's so much better. And when I was with Kaiser, I asked the woman about it that was giving me the mammogram, and her answer was, well, we know they work, but we were told since we paid for all these machines already, we can only use these, which is like such a corporate answer. But in fact, it's interesting because you mentioned deodorant, because especially if I'm doing hot yoga, I don't have to use deodorant because I get all the toxins out, and when I sweat, it just doesn't smell at all. And then I tried an all natural one, but I did have like under my arms, they after a couple of these, they were like, oh, it's just normal for you. But they did talk about dry brushing, like something was caught there.
Oh yeah, I love dry brushing. So good for the lymphatic system to dry brush your whole body and then take a hot and cold shower, like hot for 2 minutes, cold for 2 minutes, hot for cold, back and forth. And I think it's really sad that doctors and people just teach us the only reason to touch your own breasts are because of breast cancer.
Right.
And our imagination creates reality. So if we're constantly imagining that's why we're touching ourselves, no. Like, we should be uplifting and pouring beautiful, positive, bright. The calendula flower is a bright yellow flower, and I love that it's so good for the breast. Just that imagery of putting a bright flower into the breast tissue.
I love that. Lacey Free, you're amazing. Thank you for making this fit today. I know your schedule was really tight and things were all over the place. So I adore, I'm going to be on that Lacey Free high when I leave today. Tell everyone where they can find you. And HorrorPod is amazing. If you're not listening, please go listen.
Yeah, you can listen to HorrorPod, HOARPOD. And you can book a reading with me at laceyfree.com, or I have a Patreon/LaceyFree. We talk about herbs. We do poetry nights. I pull people up on camera and do readings for them sometimes. We just had someone share about homesteading and how to preserve our food and steps forward in living off the grid, even if you live in the city.
I love it. Was it Emma? Was it which Emma?
No, it was TR.
Oh, TR is great. Oh, that's fantastic. I love all the things you talk about on your Patreon. All right, Lacey, thank you so much. And thanks to Mike at Uno Rising Media, Mike Flynn. Everybody, hope to see you on my Patreon, or check out my website, karenrontowski.com, and sign up for my email address. All kinds of stuff is coming. And hopefully by the time you're hearing this, I am moved into wherever the hell I'm going.
Yay!
Yay! Have a great day, everybody.